Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Charlie Bengal. Welcome to the Allegiance Way Show. My special guest today is Chris Kraus, who directs marketing at Remax Allegiance. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Lots to cover today. If we don't get through it, maybe we'll have you back on the show, depending on your performance today. I'm only kidding. So you've been in marketing for 3 years. You've worked at two different Remax companies
Mhm.
for a total of 2 years. Talk to me about what is marketing when it comes specifically to real estate.
So when it comes to real estate, marketing is all about lead generation. Bottom line, if you can get people in the door, no pun intended. If we can get you in the door, then we're getting you looking at houses. So basically, every agent needs those leads because that's how they get the sales. That's how they are funneling into their income. So at the end of the day, it's going to be all about lead generation.
Right. And for those of you watching that are thinking, oh, I just work by referral, I don't need leads. Those are leads too, right?
hmm
Those are leads too. And we're going to talk more later in the show about how we are keeping in touch with our past clients in Sphere to get more business from them. So we're in the middle of this coronavirus scare. What's changed when it comes to marketing in this new environment?
I think the biggest change in marketing is probably just going to be that everything has become a lot more virtual.
Okay.
You're not interacting with people. You're not going out and shaking hands and doing it the good old fashioned way. Everything is going to be virtual open houses. You're going to have virtual just Zoom calls, interacting with clients, all the way down to signings. I've had a couple agents say that, they're doing some of these things via DocuSign and other things like that. Everything is virtual now. So I think that's the big movement is there's a lot less physicality to it.
Got it. Um, I'm an agent. My income is a little bit more unpredictable right now. I'm thinking now's the time that I should back away from marketing. What are your thoughts on pausing marketing right now?
Well, as someone who lives and breathes marketing, I 100% disagree that now is the time. I actually think that it's probably more of a time to start marketing yourself because people are at home. People are looking at houses. Like I said, and a lot of people are noticing how small their houses are right now.
Hmm.
Especially me, I live in, as I mean, you guys can see, it's a studio apartment. I've noticed how small this place is, and everybody is trying to move up right now. So, and they have all this time to start looking. And so marketing right now is actually probably at its peak of when you should be, posting every day, and really interacting and really trying to get people to see your name because people are still buying. I know it's hard to believe, but it's definitely still a thing.
Got it. Yeah, and I think we're going to talk more about this later, but there's a lot of folks that they are pausing, right? And
hmm
we're going to talk about farming in a bit and opportunities when somebody maybe wants to take their foot off the gas of farming, maybe to be able to get into that farm. Opportunities when it comes to um, Facebook and Google leads, where the cost for these things is just a fraction of what it once was. So, talking about money and budget, what is a good budget for a real estate agent to have when it comes to marketing?
So after talking to a whole bunch of people about this and kind of coming down to it, it's really about 10% of your gross income. And
Okay.
that sounds like you're like, whoa, 10%, that's a large number. But you think of, your $100,000 you make in the year, that's $10,000 you spend. That's still a lot of income that comes there, and you're going to have way more interaction and more possibilities with the more marketing that you have. So really, you shouldn't be scared of that number, even though it seems like 10% could be a lot.
I like it. So 10% of GCI. Um, what do you offer to agents when it comes to marketing specifically? What does your department do?
So our department does a whole bunch. I had someone today ask me the same question too, and I shot him off this list, and he was like, "Wow, you guys do all that? Like, I didn't even know." And I'm like, "We do. We do postcards, and you can do anything from singular postcards, just sold. You can EDDM them. to different locations. I know we're going to talk about that a little bit
Mhm.
later.
Yep.
But we also do brochures. We do some social proofs. We have buyer seller listing guides that you can take advantage of, and everything just basically is putting yourself in front of people and making it look as good as possible. And we have the website, allegiancemarketing.wordpress.com, that people can go on and see these examples.
Excellent. So we've got some Allegiance agents watching this, and we'll also have other people that are not affiliated with Allegiance watching this. Do you have to be an Allegiance associate to use the marketing team?
Absolutely not. I love making things for everyone, so feel free to shoot us a message if you do have any request, even if you're not an Allegiance member, for sure.
Awesome, very good. What are the most popular lead sources that you see in the real estate world?
So number one is going to be, I kind of go together, past clients in your sphere.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously that is going to be number one. And then you're going to have geofarming. Again, we'll talk about that. Open houses, online leads. But really your past clients and sphere is very top, what you can almost, I'd say, focus on first and make sure you're really, reaching out to them.
Oh, definitely. I think you've heard me, and others that watch regularly have heard me talk about the importance of working with those past clients, sphere of influence, right? Mine the database that we're sitting on, right? The gold mine that we're sitting on before we go find a new river to try to pan for gold that may or may not exist, right? So let's work with the people who already know us, like us, and trust us before we go throw money at Zillow, for instance. How many lead sources should an agent have?
So I'd say the average agent should have about 4 to 6. Top producers are looking closer to 10. But if you're sitting at 4 or 6, then that's going to be comfortable. That is going to get you, into a good spot, and definitely the spot to aim for, especially if you are lower, if you're only looking at 1 or 2. And take advantage of the fact that a lot of these lead sources are booming right now, that you can take advantage of them and have the time to learn some of them too.
Good. So 4 to 6 if you're the average agent. What if you're a top producing agent?
10. I would say 9, 10, 11. Even definitely if you're top producing, that's where you're going to be at.
Awesome. Good. So we talked about kind of the core 4: past client, sphere of influence, geo-farming, open houses, online leads. And by the way, when there's might be some people watching, they're thinking, wait a minute, open houses? I can do open houses now. You can, right? You can do them virtually. And Coach Amy went over that. I think it was last week. So if you've not seen how to do a virtual open house, go to theallegianceway.com, click on videos, and go find that video, because you can still certainly do them. Talk to me about farming. Just in general, what do we look like when it comes to a geo farm, and kind of elaborate on that a bit.
So farming is something that's been around. It's in I think it really is in every single, district of, I'm blanking at what word I'm looking for, but almost everybody uses it, no matter what kind of company you're in. And I think real estate, it's really strong. I've used it down when I was at Remax before this. And then here we started interacting with the two, and it's been super beneficial. It's essentially reaching out into a neighborhood, and you're looking for potential clients, and then also you're using your past clients in order to build your farm. And so essentially what we do is we look for a 6% turnover inside of a farm. Essentially that just means that 6% of the houses on the there are potentially going to be able to be on the market or are for sale, and where you want to reach.
6 of every 100 houses in that neighborhood are selling every year. Yes.
Exactly. Yes.
Got it. Okay. All right.
So 6%, and then you also don't want to go in where there is already a top performing agent there, very high performing, because then it's all about then trying to battle your way to the top, and it's easier to go ahead and start somewhere newer or with a little less competition there, so that you can really build your brand up and build you up as the person of interest there. And farming is easy. it sounds like such a complicated term, and then you think farming, like, "Oh, I don't know how to farm." But really all it is you're sending out, postcards. You're reaching out to these people in these areas. Um, and a lot of times you can just create a customized postcard, and you can do that actually through us. We do EDDM style ones, which essentially is just everyday door mailers.
Mm-hmm.
And you're able to then send this to every single house. So then no matter what, your name is getting in front of these people. And so you're basically just, farming for leads.
Okay, so we just got a question. What marketing material would you recommend we send to our farm at this time? So we have a bonus for those watching. This pretty brilliant project that we're going to share at the end, which I think is a really good farming piece to send out now. But what I don't want to let the cat out of the bag on that one just yet. But what do you recommend sending now?
So personally, what I recommend sending is don't push houses right now. Don't push the selling, and don't push market updates. I know we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. Mm-hmm. But really push the idea of checking on people. Really push out. Hey, we hope you're okay. Call us if you need anything. Be that person of contact, or just that voice, because a lot of people who are at home are struggling with going a little stir crazy and just need someone to speak to. So push out these farming materials that just show that you're a human and that you're there for them.
Yeah. So a postcard that says, I've been a member of this community for X number of years. I was here for you then, I'm here for you now, I will be here for you in the future. And if you need anything, real estate related or not, don't hesitate to reach out. There are elderly single folks, right, that are living by themselves, that they may not be comfortable going to the grocery store. And we know that a lot of these grocery stores have, these senior days or the senior mornings. Mm-hmm. Well, I've heard from my mom, who technically qualifies for this senior time, that it's busier then than it is at other times. So the seniors don't necessarily want to go to the store when all the other seniors are there. So if somebody needs some groceries, right, to be able to go and get the groceries and leave them on the doorstep, we do things like that, and we offer things like that. This is the time that our brands are built, and people are never going to forget that, right? They're never, that elderly woman is then going to tell their kids, you know what, the realtor in the neighborhood brought me my groceries. And when I tried to write them a check for it, they refused. Right. I mean, that stuff leaves lasting impressions. When it does come to market updates, you and I spoke about this earlier before we went live. Now's not the time to be doing updates where we're comparing to a year ago, right? March stats just came out. Comparing them to a year ago, probably going to look okay, right? April and May, not going to look okay, right? So those of you that are on autopilot, where you're pushing out these stats, this year-over-year business, you need to pause for a few months. And I would be letting people know, listen, in the last week, within 35 miles of the White House, right, this number of units went on the market, this number of units went under contract, and this number of units sold. So you're showing that the market is still moving. That's a reasonable farming piece, right? Sending out just sold cards is a reasonable farming piece, with the caveat that I think every piece of marketing that we do needs to have this caveat of, you need to be acknowledging the crisis, right? Not dwelling on it, but if you're going to send out a just sold card, okay, cool. But you need to say, even in uncertain times, sellers need to sell, buyers need to buy. I'm here for you. Check out what we did to pivot and sell 123 Main Street for top dollar. And you can talk about the way you've pivoted your business. So Coach Amy and I talked last week about, we've all pivoted our business. Do our clients know that we're still in business, right? And do our clients know how we've pivoted? And that can be a postcard piece. That can be in a newsletter. I think we're going to talk about that in a minute. So don't assume that your clients know that you're still in business. Don't assume that your clients know that the market is still moving. And don't assume that your clients know that you've pivoted to make things safer for them, right? And all of that can be explained in different marketing pieces. Would you agree?
I totally agree. And I think you brought up a very good point. Don't assume that your clients know that you're still working. the list is ever changing for what things are closed right now. So I think
Sure.
making sure that people know that real estate is not, and I didn't honestly, when that first came out, I didn't know if we were still going to be open. So, having that conversation with them allows for them to still know that and still move forward with some of these things.
We are certainly fortunate in DC, Maryland, and Virginia that we are considered essential,
Mhm.
and we're able to to do business for those that need to do it, and by applying common sense, right? We don't want to be
Mhm.
doing public open houses. We don't want to do anything that gets the government's attention or annoys neighbors, right? Because like in Michigan, for instance, they're basically shut down. You're not allowed in Michigan to go from one residence to another residence directly for any reason. So that's Michigan. They obviously have had a huge problem with this in Detroit, but we're fortunate to where we're able to be in business, but with the caveat of using common sense. We do not want to get on the radar of any of our governors, right? Where there's people standing outside of an open house or something crazy like that.
Mhm.
Um, let's You've talked a little bit about EDDM. Do you want to get into some details about how that works, how much of a cost savings that is when compared to first class mail? Just kind of give us a general overview of EDDM.
Okay, so EDDM, like we were saying before, it's just everyday door mailers. I think that's what it stands for. It's pretty close, if not. But it essentially just is you're sending these things, postcards typically, to these houses, and you basically select a postal route,
Hmm.
and it'll select every single house on that postal route, and it'll drop something off at their door. And the nice thing about that is you're not coming up with a list. You're not having to know every single
Right.
address. You just you can go on to the United States Postal Service's website, and you can look through, and it'll tell you exactly how many houses on there, how much it'll cost to do that route. You can select multiple routes,
Hmm.
and it really opens up the possibilities of being able to get it in front of people that you don't know. And so specifically with things like this, sending out these postcards, it's cheaper. First class mail can get kind of pricey. Is depending, especially on what you're sending. If you're sending a postcard, it might be a little less expensive. But when you
Hmm.
start to get to like a brochure or something,
Right.
or a flippable card, then those are going to get pricier. But EDDM is a cheap and easy way, and it's actually, I think, the easiest way to get the bang for your buck and really get it out.
Good. So, yeah, if people just want to Google EDDM, it'll take you to the site. You just plug in your zip code and you can play around with the routes. I'll tell you, in super urban areas, it's tricky.
Mhm.
So, where I live in downtown DC, there's a high rise apartment complex right next to me. I don't want to farm that high rise apartment complex, right? But it's on the route, right? So, super urban areas, it's trickier. Suburban areas, where I'm sitting now, this is all a bunch of small single family homes. EDDM would be perfect for this neighborhood.
Mhm.
And it is cheap, 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 because you're not picking the addresses, you're just choosing the routes. And from my experience, it's about 50 cents mailed, printed, designed, done right out the door per piece.
Mhm.
So what's first class mail right now? Like 55 cents, I think.
I think it's
Um,
55 here.
so, and that doesn't include the design and the printing.
Mhm.
So rough estimate, 50 cents. Um, let's move over to talk to me about what brand is. And by brand, BRAND, it's an acronym. Um, talk to me about that.
Yeah. So brand is not just the colors of your logo and what font you use. I think that's the most common misnomer, is that's what it is. But it actually is, yeah, like you said, an acronym. It stands for B is benefits, R is reputation, A attitude, N niches, and then D designs. And we'll go in because some of those words are interchangeable.
Yep.
Um, but B is benefits. It's all about, what are you providing? What is you as a realtor? What are you giving to your client? And obviously a house, like that is it. But you're also giving knowledge. You're giving knowledge of the areas that you're in. You are essentially a knowledge broker. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Our reputation, it's all about how you've built up yourself, how have you helped other people, what other people, as realtors always say, referrals are the base of my business. That is true for the sense that it does build your brand. What people say about you matters. So if you have a good reputation, your brand is going to be strong. Attitude kind of explains itself. It's how you present yourself.
Mhm.
And I think that especially right now, attitude can be that sympathy that you're giving people, that we were just kind of talking about, making sure that you are, making that very aware that you're there for them as people. Niches is it can be, you don't have to, I don't think you have to have one, but I think it really helps to find
Sure.
that thing
Yeah.
that you're really good at. Whether that is you are really good at selling townhomes. All right, that's your thing, then sure, then that can be what you're known as
Right.
the agent who sells townhomes. So again, you don't have to have one, but very helpful if you do, if you can find that thing that really clicks with you. And then D is design, and that's where it kind of ties it all together. And that's the idea of the logo, the colors. So when people see your logo, they know, oh yeah, I've heard of them. I've heard of Charlie. I've heard of Chris. And I think a lot of people, like we said before, they think they only think about the D in it. They think about design, and there's really that all 5 letters of that. 5 letters. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think this is something that, if people are watching this, go back, watch this video again, and really be thinking about this 5 aspects of BRAND and where do you fit in, to each one, and really, spend a few minutes thinking about that, because oftentimes people think brand, logo, and that's it. Where we know that, brand extends far beyond that for a lot of companies, right? I mean, it's not just their logo; it's what they do for their community. It's how they're perceived in the market. It's all sorts of stuff. Talk to me about brand messaging and the 3 Ps.
Okay. Yeah. So brand messaging and the 3 Ps. There's problem, proposition, and payoff.
Okay.
P is going to be what challenge your customer is facing. And a lot of times right now, that's either going to be selling their house or they're looking for a house.
Mm-hmm.
Proposition is how you solve or you can reduce their challenge. Obviously, you are going to hopefully be helping them find their house or sell their house. And the payoff is the end benefit for the customer. What are they getting out of it? And I don't think that it is just getting I got a house. They want to enjoy the experience too. They want it to be as little and to no stress at all, if possible. And I think that's really important. It's not just about the end goal, not just the house. I think there's the journey is just as important.
Oh, agreed. And something to be thinking about is, when does that experience start, right?
Mm.
So and what's that look like? So just be thinking about that, and that's probably a topic for an entirely different show. But what is your experience? What does it look like, and when does it start? And be intentional about that, right?
Mm.
Talk to me about content in general, and I think you have a slide to share here.
I do. Let's go ahead and pull that up. We will share screen. All right. So basically we created this, it's a content stack. So there are more types of content to do, but these are probably the biggest payoff and what people are looking for when they are online. So I'll read through them and then we'll kind of touch back on each of them. So you've got the real me, you've got social proof, agent, BTS, which is behind the scenes, hyper local, knowledge broker, and buzzworthy. 6 very big things, and some of them are a little more obvious. But jumping back, you have real me. So often agents get caught up in presenting this very this is what I sell, this is what I do, this is it. My life is the job. And
Right.
While that's true, I know like a lot of people breathe and live this real estate world. there's also this other side of them that presents them as that human being. So the real me, what they enjoy, the stuff they enjoy in the community, the things they do with their family. And I know we're speaking to a couple people, and not everybody's comfortable posting about those things. But there is a level of content where you have to just find the things that you are comfortable posting that are a little more personal.
Yeah.
Like I know I have a couple of realtor friends, and they post things with their family and what they're doing during quarantine right now. And I love it. I think it's so cool. And it also just it reminds me that they're not just their job.
Agreed. Yeah. Being authentic and showing that, I think, is so important. I mean, it's kind of interesting. Who would think that we would be in the homes of news anchors right now, right? I mean, you get to look at the, the CNBC news anchors and like where they're broadcasting and what's on their bookshelf. And, they're almost doing this, I don't want to say against their will, but, it's a view into people's lives that we didn't expect. But I think, realtors, we want to be seen as, members of the community, and, what we're doing with friends and family and all that stuff. So awesome. What's next?
Yeah. So then after that, it's going to be, we'll move over, we'll do social proof. And while this isn't as mandatory right now, it is still something in the overall content stack that you should think about as an agent. Social proof is just basically showing, how many houses you sold in an area, how are you doing your job in the area that you are marketing yourself. And right now, you don't want to be sending people, oh, I just sold 15 houses in this area. Because that's not the kind of things that people want to see. People want to see that, more sympathetic. But after all of this is over, it's going to be just as important to show that the market is still booming, and you can still do things like just sold, because again, as long as you do what Charlie was saying, where you incorporate the sympathy there and acknowledging the situation, you can still do some of those social proofs. And that's pretty much what social proof is. It's almost just proving that you are out there.
Yeah. So a map of sales is for instance, right? And that could be career sales. It could be annual sales. Having that as part of your listing and buying presentation is always a good idea in any market, right? So if that's not something that you have, contact Chris and he can help you, get that set up. Let's move on down to the next one.
Okay. And then, and just touching back on social proof, we actually have a social proof post too. That's actually on our website. So if people are interested in that, take a look at it. So, but Agent BTS, that's Agent Behind the Scenes. That is another one, especially right now, where I think it could get really interesting. It's basically like if you ever watched a movie and you watch the behind the scenes and you're like, well, that's how they filmed it. That's how they do this.
Right.
It's basically letting people in on the process and really letting them see. We were just at a conference and we saw an agent who took people on a tour on a golf cart all together. I don't know if you remember that, Charlie, but it was super interesting. I was like, whoa, that sounds like such a good idea, because there are so many aspects of the process as an agent that, like, as someone who's not in it, they won't know. And it's always interesting to learn about something that you had no idea even existed.
Yeah, I mean, showing people how you're showing homes in a pandemic. That's something that's a little unusual, right? We're about out of time. I think what I want to do is have you on again next week to finish the content stack and the other stuff that we wanted to go over. But I do want you to share the idea and the unique project that somebody can begin to work on today. So why don't we just jump ahead to that?
Okay, let's move to. You guys can see all the questions that I've been studying up on. So this is a great project that Becky Arnold came up, or I'm sure that she probably has this from somewhere else and has but integrated it into real estate. We'll pull up the other one as well so you can see them side by side. It is essentially it's bingo. And it's a great way to interact with the community right now. So what she did, the bottom line is she basically reached out to these companies and said, hey, can I feature you on this bingo card? I'm going to send it to my clients, and we're going to give them a prize if they finish out their bingo card. And how did they fill out their bingo card? Well, they need to spend money at your restaurant. So it's free marketing for these companies. And then what she had them do is send them their receipts, and she was able to mark them off. And then as soon as they finished, I think she did the full, just a row. And she would enter them inside for a $250 prize.
Right. So she's running this thing almost until Memorial Day. Seems like forever from now, but it's really not. We're like 6 weeks away from Memorial Day, right?
Wow.
Weekly prizes, and then a grand prize of a $250 gift card that's going to be drawn live on Facebook. So what a way to get in touch with small businesses that are getting killed right now that need our help. And my suggestion is calling those small businesses, having conversations with them, right? Getting their buy-in. And their buy-in needs to include them being willing to share this on their social media as well, right? So it's going to put you in the center of this. So you're helping out small businesses. Your clients are able to help small businesses as well. This is a great farming piece. You can put this in an electronic newsletter. You can put this on your social media, and you're able to help them design their own bingo board, right?
Yep. If they come to us with the restaurants that you want on site, like a bingo board, we can easily create this for you to be able to send out.
Good. Awesome. So if they have questions or need to reach you, what's the best way to do that?
So the best way, I'll give out my personal cell phone number, but don't everybody blow it up at once. It's 720-982-8779, especially right now with everything going on. Reaching out that way is going to be it, or marketing@rmxtalk.com. Either of those ways are going to be great ways. I'm almost always available to help you guys out over the phone or a Zoom call with anything you need, no matter what kind of marketing it is.
Awesome. Very good. So we'll have you back on probably next week. We'll talk about keeping in touch with past clients in Sphere. We'll talk more about video, about e-newsletters, and about social media in general. So look forward to that. Chris, appreciate you being on. Always a pleasure. Have a great rest of the day. Take care. Thanks.
All right. Bye. Thank you.